And I was not a huge Shedeur Sanders dude coming into this, but watching him play on Sunday was the most fun I have ever had watching the Browns play football. I think the Browns may have something here. I don't want to, overreact, but I'm a little scared. I'm a little scared of him. And I've seen some Bengals fans online trying to, degrade what he did, diminish what Shedeur Sanders did against the Raiders. And I get it was against the Raiders. But like he said in his post-game interview, that was just 1 week of practice. And he played pretty well. He had some nice throws for a guy who doesn't have an arm. I thought it was good. He had me smile. I'm still smiling thinking about it. Stan, I don't know if your opinion has changed at all regarding Shedeur Sanders and the Browns potentially trading him in the future.
My opinion is actually the same. I just think he's not a good fit for the Browns based on what they need to do moving forward. Now, if they keep Stefanski, maybe Stefanski will want to hold on to him more. The thing with Stefanski is I just don't think Stefanski is a good candidate to kind of keep him in control. Like Shedeur Sanders needs a strong, kind of aggressive head coach. He needs a head coach who's going to put his fist down, say, this is what you're doing. This is how you're talking to the media. This is how you're acting with your teammates. He needs a coach to be very strict with him, and I just don't see Stefanski as that guy. So my opinion on him being the guy for the Browns moving forward has not changed. I also think for a rebuilding team, you don't want a guy like Sanders because he's going to complain. Like in year two, if he's having a good to great year, he's going to complain constantly when the team is still losing. So it's just I still think he's not a good fit for the Browns. What I did say last episode, and I still stick by, is he is a better quarterback in terms of ceiling than Dylan Gabriel. Like I still agree with that. He's a better quarterback. He has a better ceiling. I just don't think he's good for the Browns.
So what if the Browns came, because there is rumors of this happening. They fire Kevin Stefanski, they fire Andrew Berry, they bring in a new, potentially hard-nosed coach that you think can control. I know you said you thought like Aaron Glenn could last week. Not that they would bring in Aaron Glenn, but someone like Aaron Glenn. Would that would change your opinion then?
It would. The thing is, I also don't like Shedeur Sanders as a candidate on a weak team. I think he will be an issue in the media when you're losing a lot of games. To me, like if I'm Shedeur Sanders, my hope is to get traded to a team like the Lions, who have an older quarterback, a winning culture, a hard-nosed head coach. Like that to me is a perfect spot for Shedeur Sanders. Now I don't know how much the Lions want him, but their quarterback isn't very young anymore, so maybe they go and they make that move and they try to look into their future with a very cheap quarterback.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting, and I get what you're saying, but I don't know. I just think if I'm the Browns, the Houseums, the team owners, I'm looking at what happened with Baker Mayfield, right? Baker Mayfield was this high potential quarterback. We gave up on him after injury, and sure he didn't blossom right away, but he went to the Panthers, then he went to the Rams and blew up on the Rams. And now look what he's doing in Tampa Bay. Do I want that to happen again if I am the Browns? So I think they could be more hesitant to move on from someone like Shedeur if he continues to play well. And I will say, I'm someone who would have criticized him for being cocky. I think his interviews, and we'll see what happens after a loss, but I thought his interviews on Sunday, he was cocky, but it was like a humble cockiness, if that makes sense, kind of like Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes. Kind of like where they're like, yeah, I know I just did that, but also like we got the team, like we're all they're happy. It was fun to watch. That was kind of what I was getting at. So maybe he has matured a little bit.
I'm not sure because still in that game, like he said, the thing about 1 week of practice, like winning quarterbacks don't make excuses. I still think he has a lot of growing to do. He has a lot of maturing to do. And like that's why I said like Dan Campbell, I think he's a guy who could kind of mold him into a better mentality quarterback, which I just think that's still too much of a weakness for Shedeur. And like with that game too, it's like he still threw a pick and he's like, oh, it's 1 week of practice. He's making excuses. He's being cheeky with it. I don't think that's the right attitude for a team that's probably going to lose a lot of games next year. Now, if the Browns think they could create a winning culture in one off season and turn the ship around with a new head coach, I'll try it out with Shedeur. But with these good performances, especially if you see more of this and he's moving in the right direction, I also see the fact that you might be able to get maybe a third, maybe even a second, for Shedeur and like a day 3 pick in a trade there. I would just go and take the value there for the Browns because I just don't think they're the right organization. They've never been good as an organization at handling this, and with the Haslams, they've never done a good job with that. I think Baker's a different situation because he still had the right mentality in the end of those days with Cleveland. He was ready to be a good backup quarterback to Deshaun. Obviously, it didn't work out that way, but he had the right mindset there. And then when we're talking about the cheekiness with guys like Burrow and Mahomes have earned that. You didn't hear Mahomes doing that when he was sitting behind I can't remember who it is now, but whoever he was
Alex
sitting behind
Smith.
that first year, Alex Smith, yeah. He wasn't saying that in his first game, second game in. He was quiet. No one really thought about Mahomes back then, right? He came onto the scene because he played so well, he earned that right to be on the scene. Joe Burrow won a championship in college, right? He came to the Bengals, immediately made a difference there. It's just not the same. And I just think the Browns are not built as a franchise to deal with that. And I don't see them in terms of trajectory being able to create a winning culture enough and soon enough where you can kind of control Shedeur a little bit easier.
Yeah, I didn't really hear the 1 week of practice thing as an excuse. I heard it as a like, that was good and I'm gonna keep getting better type thing. You know what I'm saying? He just I don't know. And they play the 49ers this week with a much better defense, a much better defensive coordinator. So we'll see what he does. And yes, he still threw a pick, but he also just played. I mean, I'm not going to hold him throwing a pick against him because he made so many other really good plays that if we just focus on him throwing a pick, we're going to end up missing the whole picture. We're going to miss the forest for the trees.
My point with the pick is that I think he should have been a little quieter going into that interview. I think he should let his play do the talking and not talk himself because it hasn't really worked for him at all. And though when I say not talk himself, I don't mean miming. He tried that, didn't work.
I get it. I get the hesitancy. I do. It's just I think if you're a Browns, I think Browns fans are rightfully excited about this guy. And I think Browns fans should be excited about this entire class that they have. I have harped on this all season. Carson Schwessinger is possibly your defensive rookie of the year. You've got Mason Graham, who was making some hard hits on the outside as a defensive tackle on Sunday. Then you've got Isaiah Bond was an undrafted free agent. Like you've got some really, really, really good. Dylan Sampson had a huge touchdown. Quinshawn, like you can just go on and on. This is a really good draft class. And as a fan of another AFC North team, I'm scared of the potential that the Browns have to create something really, really good here for the next few years. So that rests on what Shedeur becomes and how, or Dylan Gabriel, and how the Browns handle this situation, right? Because, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but say you do trade Shedeur and you decide that Dylan Gabriel is going to be your backup and you draft a guy in round 1. Say you draft Fernando Mendoza out of IU. And Fernando Mendoza, who I think is a fantastic quarterback, very smart player, but maybe he just isn't ready to go. Do you waste all of these great rookies' second years and let Dylan Gabriel lose out all your games or something? But I don't know. I think they're in a very volatile situation where if they handle it the right way, they're going to be a powerhouse. But if they handle it the wrong way, they're right back where they started.
Yeah, to me, the decision is less so on those quarterbacks and more so on the head coach. I think that's where it starts and ends. There's just a lot of big personalities in that locker room. Quinshawn Judkins himself, Elijah Moore. There's a lot of guys who I just worry about Stefanski's ability to control that room. Deshaun Watson, right? There's just too many storylines there. And that's why I think it would be a good time for the Browns to take the young guys they have, get a good head coach who they think they like the vision of. Move on. A lot of those older guys, the veterans, are going to move on in free agency, and then be able to build into the future. Now that could have Shedeur. My concern is not going to be fixed, I guess, until we see who the next head coach is. That to me will change how we view Shedeur.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I do want to clarify one thing just for viewers' confusion. Elijah Moore is no longer on the Browns, so there's one personality. He actually got cut by the Buffalo Bills today, so I guess he could get re-signed by the Cleveland Browns. Maybe you're predicting the future here, but yeah, the Bills just cut him today after they signed Brandon Cooks yesterday.
Yeah, my
So
bad on that, but still, there's a lot of big personalities there, and I just don't think Stefanski is. I think he's proven time and time again that he's not the guy who can handle that in a locker room.